Hey everybody, welcome back, and buongiorno to another coalition deep dive. Well, I guess it's not a coalition, the deck deep dive. Today, obviously, Italy DLC. We got DLC last time. Let's do DLC again. Before we do that, of course, as always, it's time for some war game guessing games. Okay, we did Wednesday. I think we stopped at Wednesday last time for Thursday's video because I recorded on Wednesday. So let's start from the 17th onwards. I should maybe enable daily. And let's see what we got. I have no remembrance, like I don't remember at all. But oh yeah, we had Oshkosh. Did we have the Bosworth last time, or was it the time before that I couldn't guess? But we do have poor optics. We're smaller than big. We have better stealth than poor. No third weapon. It could be a weapons team because as soon as I see better stealth and worse size, I'm immediately thinking infantry. Also less than 10 HP. And no third weapon could be like a ATGM team. And medium optics, so it's not in the recon tab. Could still be something like what is better than poor stealth, but only medium optics actually. It kind of has to be infantry, no? I don't think they're helicopters. No, hold on. The French Tigers. French Tigers have medium optics and medium stealth, but they all have a third weapon. The only other stealth helicopters are in the recon tab, I think. And then, of course, you have 10 strength, so it can't be a plane with stealth, but the air detection would be in optics. It has to be like a RBS 56, for example. Oops. It's like one of the options. Okay. It is infantry. It is only 2 HP. To be fair, I probably should have gone for that because there's a lot more 2 HP weapon teams than 5 HP weapon teams. It's not an SMG and it's not an ATGM, so it's a manpad. Stinger. Okay, in the SAM, it is not. Is it a battle rifle or is it an assault rifle? Ooh. This is 82. This could be a battle rifle. I think the old, quote unquote, old infantry, I think has battle rifles, but I genuinely don't know based off the name. Let's just go for the. Also later than 82. Could be like stingers. It's Holland. It's 15 points, and it's not a stinger, right? Okay. Let's think about this a bit more. 15 points and not a stinger. Could still be red 4, by the way. Completely. Hold on. It isn't mech and armored. It is not in either airborne or marines or moto. So this is a deck that doesn't have those specializations, probably. Okay, this is actually very interesting. If it wasn't in mech, I could have, one guess could have been whatever South Africa has in terms of manpads, because they don't have any mech stuff. But now that this is very, very intriguing. For example, Denmark doesn't, like, they only have only track transports, right? That would have been an interesting indicator. For example, for not being able to motorized. But the thing is, they have a Stinger C, but okay, it's not 15 points. It's not a Stinger either. In blue 4, any of the RBSs? Okay, Javelin. UK and NORAD. Sorry, UK and Canada have the Javelin, but it should be available in all those specs. I think we're looking at an IGLA. I don't know if are the lowest tier of RBS manpads, are they 15 points? I don't think so. I think they're at least 20. 20 is plenty. And I think Stinger A and the Javelin are probably the only 15-point manpads on blue 4. So let's give Canadian, North Korean IGLA. Alright. It's not the IGLA, it is an assault rifle. It's still later than 89. Not the IGLA. It's not IGLA. And later than 89. Essentially a prototype. And 15 points. I'm so stumped right now. This is... Huh. 15 points manpad. It isn't a Stingray. These are not 91 upwards. But what is the... Surely they have a slash in there. The LL. LLR. It's not the Hamlet. But this isn't 15 points, right? I know I shouldn't have guessed that, but I just wanted to be sure. It's a prototype manpad. There's something obvious I'm missing. Maybe the Anzac RBS-70 a prototype or something like that. Hold on, it can't be RBS. They're 5 men. They're 5 men. Okay. Igla Stinger. What is the manpad? It can't be Javelin. Okay, I'm not gonna harm myself if it isn't, but I'll go crazy. The Shiloh isn't the prototype that Yugoslavia has. QW1 is, I'm pretty sure, 20 points because it's better than an Igla. I'm pretty sure Finland also has Iglas. Is it like some kind of upgraded Strela thing? But even then, I think even those nations that have those, like Yugoslavia, they still have like Iglas later on. South Africa, I think they have Stingers. Italy has a Stinger. It can't be a Mistral, it's 2 men. It's also way too... What is it? Like, and on blue for anything that's like not a Stinger is cheap, or like worse than a Stinger is also like cheaper. I am so confused right now. It couldn't be the Igla N either, because I'm very certain that East Germany got that earlier. China, no. 91 and 15 points. I have no. It's 88 even. Who? I just don't know. Is it South Africa maybe? Honestly, right now the only thing that I can think of is that it's some like a South African hero that I've completely forgot about. Let's use the Joker. No, the Javelin is a prototype? What? What? I am so disappointed in myself. I am so disappointed in myself. All right, let's do. Wow, I'm so disappointed. I guess I still am kind of right in terms of like what kind of man, but it could be, I assume. But I'm so disappointed that I didn't know that Javelin was a prototype. I am mad at myself. Okay, 15 points, more than 4 HP, but it's very small. Okay, it's presumably an infantry. It has to be an. It doesn't have. Oh, it is. It is with the speed. It is. Okay, infantry with. It is very very small. Whatever. It's good stealth, so it's not a recon. Oh, I guess we know it's not a recon, and we know it's not 2 HP. So. Okay, it is faster than that. Not difficult. Okay, it's 3 weapons, not a manpad, not an assault rifle. Let's go for basic Panzer Grenadier. I still don't know why the E is capital, but now I'm starting to like it. Oh wow. This is just Jäger. Hell yeah. Alright. So I just got a message. 18th, now 19th. Let's go for the Jäger. 10 HP and why does it? Huh? Oh, okay. I know why. Usually, I'm not sure if that is. Yeah, I guess I know why. So usually, if you're close to it, it gives you like a yellow indicator, right? If it's medium or very good, it would give you like a yellow good. But since it's not yellow, and we know it's worse. Okay, it's essentially deducted. Yeah, okay. Either way, okay. 10 HP force is some kind of vehicle, presumably. Let's go. It's not West German. Let's go for an M1 Abrams. It's not a tank. It is relatively old. It's probably medium. Less than 440 autonomy. It's faster. Could it be a helicopter? Maybe like a big transport helicopter, like a Chinook. But I don't think there's like any large helicopter like as in 10 HP, right? It has worse autonomy than 440. But it has to be a vehicle. It's also a very fast vehicle. An expensive. Or is it just a CV? Yeah, hold on. It has better than medium optics. Oh, is it a plane? Like very good. Oh, it has to be a plane, right? With poor stealth. A plane that is not in Marines. Relatively old. Let's go for an. It's not the cheapest plane. Let's go for the Lazur. It is indeed a plane, 1000 kmh, relatively fast, exceptional air detection, one set of missiles. It is relatively old. So it presumably only has one set of missiles. I don't think it would have a second set. Or it's multi-role rather. Unless it has no gun. Right. But there's different types of guns in here, so I'm not go for the ASA 1. I don't know how old that is, admittedly. It's nice. It's maybe. It's 2 missiles. I was right about that. Oh, is it a PD? Oh, but a PD is more expensive. It's one of 5 points, isn't it? I think it's 105. It is a PD. Oh, it's 100. No, I'm right. There's not too many, especially old planes with 2 sets of missiles and no gun, right? I think it was a good guess, too, at least for like information-wise guess, but I also immediately should have thought about a Wimple if I'm thinking about 2 sets of missiles in the first 2 slots. No, not Wimple, sorry, the PD. Alright, I'm happy with this in the last guess. The first unit honestly was just a blunder by me. I'm disappointed in myself. But let's get back to the secondary part of this video. Let's look over Italian units. Italy has some very interesting stuff. Okay, honestly, I think it should also be pretty fast, all things considered. Okay, this is whatever. This is the same thing as a Yugoslavian Jeep. So you have the amazing off-road speed. It's worth pointing out. But especially when you play Italy, you have a decent availability bonus. So you also shouldn't have to rely on like a 6 or in this case 7 per card CV. Fiat is honestly whatever. I personally never used this. CV is obviously fine, but transport selection in Italy is very, let's say, lopsided. By lopsided, I mean basically you get good 5 pointers and that's it. The 10 pointer is the wheel 10 pointer is whatever, right? The helicopters are not great. You get a 260k mage healer, which isn't too bad with 6 HP. Still nothing writing, home about. 2 variants, even one with an MG, one without, for some reason. That's like just a decent basic CV, right? 2 front, 2 side armor, decent availability, portable. And again, there's no reason to take this when you have for 10 points more, a significant armor upgrade. While it's only +1 armor, of course, the difference between 1 and 2 armor is humongous. And for another 10 points, you can also just get a leopard, which is fine, but then you lose availability. It's also not actually that much more survivable. You get an extra rear armor, and obviously like gun and front armor. But then again, you always have to think about, okay, especially against artillery, which is a CV's biggest enemy, the front side is essentially just 1/4 of what the artillery shell could land. So the additional survivability isn't huge. It is there though. It is there. It's certainly not negligible. 20 and 30 point supply trucks, honestly my 2 favorite types. With a fob, I always tend to go for the 20 point. Without a fob, I tend to go for the 30 point ones. But it's just personal preference. Okay, Alpini are very interesting already. For 20 points, let's ignore the M18 for now, right? For 20 points, you get a 15-man shock squad with an MG3, essentially. That's another thing. The Italian battle rifle is a bit special. When Eugen implemented it, they wanted it to be an even lower rate of fire than normal battle rifles, and even higher accuracy. Online and honestly even reservists, that's fine. Once you get to shocks, you're starting to have downsides again. Because with 80% base accuracy, if you then add veterancy, if you then add range scaling, because in the forest, very quickly hitting the 100% accuracy cap, quote unquote flowing over, meaning you lose value. I.e., you don't get on your primary weapon, essentially, for example, any bonus through veterancy, because let's say, for the sake of the argument, you already reached the 100% through range scaling. That said, of course, it's still 20 points for 15-man shock and an MG3. They're also light infantry, so they're really fast. For like town grinding and such, or like infantry grinds, they're very strong. But then the M18 comes into play. They start struggling against even 5-pointers with even just 1 armor very quickly. Even against 2 armor, you need 3 shots. So ideally, if they're unsupported, you should always at least use them in 2 stacks in my mind. Unless you may be trying to sneak them around or whatever. Because even the 2 armor transports, right? If you get a bit unlucky with your hits, you suddenly get panicked, you get stunlocked by a 50 cal, and then you might lose to a single 5-point transport with these squads, right? That's where you gotta be careful. That said, though, they have a lot of range on that thing, and 12 RPM, so they can also do a lot of chip damage against tanks, where even like 16 AP would only do 1 damage, right? So that's the upside of that. I wouldn't use them in unspec. In mech, it's definitely worth bringing 1 card, because it's a very cheap shock option for even if you just need them for town grinding, right? For good infantry DPS, that's where they're gonna be solid. Just don't use them in CQC, because that's where the battle rifle is gonna be. Hoo-hoo. LPD 90, contender for the best unit that Italy has, for sure. 15 men. Assault rifle now, still MG3. That's very solid. Not the best you could get. The best would probably be Minimi and the commando. Well, basically whatever Commandos 90 have. That said, though, they have essentially a Carl Gustav with an extra 800 meters range, or like 725, if you're being technical. It's amazing. It's ridiculously strong. I don't think there's much more that needs to be said. The only downside that they have is their 5-pointer is 1 armor, and they have no other ground transport option, but it's a pretty small downside, all things considered. It's basically a must-have. That squad is just so good. Yeah, it is so good. Never skip this. It's amazing. Holmoskin, they're fine. They're nothing really special. They're good. Don't get me wrong, right? And in Moto, when where choices are a bit limited and all that, it's probably worth bringing them. That said, the thing with maybe it's just a personal thing, right? Again, they're by no means a bad unit. They're gonna kill infantry very fast. They're just worse Fallschirmjäger 90. And even Fallschirmjäger 90 tend to sometimes just not be used, right? And when you have a worse Fallschirmjäger 90 squad, you shouldn't be surprised. Well, you shouldn't be surprised about the fact that also the squad might not get used, even if it looks very cool. Thing is, especially with 10 HP elite squads, it doesn't matter what training you have, you will receive the same damage from fire support and other weapons, right? So this squad dies just as fast to Leopard 2 than a reserve squad with 10 HP. If they're getting shot at. Of course, there comes additional survivability with speed, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, it's a 35 or at least 45 point unit with 9 per card that can die very quickly if you're just a bit unlucky with artillery or something. It also doesn't fill an important role. For anti-tank, as you'll see, you have, for example, these guys for much cheaper with the same almost the same AP, but essentially half the cost. And for infantry grinding, you also have other options that are still good enough. Again, this doesn't mean they're bad. It's probably just not like 100% ideal to bring them. That being said, if a mini-me, which is good, if an assault rifle, which is fine, not crazy, good, but fine, and the Panzerfaust 3 is of course very good. But then of course, it's gonna plague the entire infantry tab. All the transports you have will always just be taxis. With the exception of the strong 5-pointers when you're spamming them with cheap infantry. That's all they're gonna do. They're just gonna bring you to the front line and that's it. You have no IVs, you have no helicopters with anything more than an MG or a minigun in this case. Yeah, they're fine, they're good. Probably just not worth picking in unspec, honestly. Well, again, if you wanna try hard, don't let me tell you that this is you're gonna ruin your deck if you take them. I think sometimes when I say that, people might get the wrong impression that I'm saying, oh, you suck if you use this unit. You have to 100% build a perfect deck all the time. That's obviously not what I'm trying to say here. They're fine. It's just a 10 HP infantry, elite infantry, in my mind, are always a bit, let's say, risky when they're not like an LSTR or something, That is the M18 fire support variant with 1.5 HE. It's funny, but ultimately it struggles with the same thing. If your fire support squad can't deal with 1-pointer in one shot or two armor, sorry, 1-pointer, 1 armor transport within one. Sorry, pick up. 1 armor transport in 1 shot or 2 armor transport in 2 shots, you're gonna struggle. You can spam them in 5-pointers, but the other thing is also that they don't actually have enough availability, in my opinion, to be worth using. And the infantry DPS isn't that great either because you lose a bit of HE, right? Practically, they're just tickling opponents down. I've used them a bunch in testing and all that. They also run out very quickly of ammo. Practically, it's tough to make good use of them. Folgore. I always forget. Same weapon as the Alpini 90, of course, and a fist squad. They also shock, by the way. So they're not gonna be as useless in town fights, at least, as compared to other fist squads. Still not great, and I wouldn't recommend it. They're good, right? They're basically like Tankashasho, but you get 2 extra AP. However, unlike Tankashasho, you don't get an autocannon transport that is really, really good. All you get is battle taxis again. Worth considering in Moto and obviously in airborne. You don't get them in mech, I believe, because they're an airborne squad. Don't let the 5-pointers being available here fool you. Apparently, the airborne guys did use those transports, right? So don't make that think that they're a mech squad or an armored squad. As in specialization wise. But they're a good squad. Yeah, in Moto definitely worth considering. But you still only have 7 slots, so you can't bring everything. In unspec, again, the Alpini 90 you already have when it comes to anti-tank weaponry, the Folgore as well. You don't really need the HE fire support, in my opinion, with this deck. That said, though, it's not it's gonna be horrible to bring this again. I just think it's probably more important to bring something like a Milan 2 in this deck. For example, if it is between those 2 units, I would always go for the Milan 2 in Italy. Fanteria di Linea. It's a basic but solid line infantry squad. You're gonna struggle really hard against vehicles, and it goes for all the bazooka squads. Bazooka is just trash, right? With just enough AP to at least one-shot one armor. But that's it. Also horrible range, horrible accuracy, good suppression though, to be fair. But yeah, it is what keeps the price at 10 points because I have a bad rifle and MG, which is very MG3, which is very good. You also have an amazing 5-pointer. Makes them good for spamming. There's basically 3 spam options in this deck, honestly. One of those being, let's say, non-traditional. That's what we want to call it. They're good. They're good spam infantry. But you do notice the difference between that and something like a law, the M72 law. The difference is very, very big. The law is, of course, already pretty weak, but this is like on another level of weakness. So be prepared for that, which is why you might consider actually not running those for spamming and meat shields, because honestly, sometimes I think people don't or you might not realize, and that includes me. Yeah? That's like a all persons you, and not you as in like you people listening. You don't realize how important even just a basic law is on like your spam infantry or an RPG 7 even, right? To deal with enemy 5-pointer spam or something like that, or to just annoy enemy vehicles in forests, right? Tanks or something. And this being is honestly, unless you're calm, you basically will always miss. And even when you're calm, it's still like very low chance to hit. You're not gonna get up to 50% in forests, not with these guys at least. So that is something to be aware of. Then you have the 90s variant, which usually you don't use like 15-point line infantry for spamming. But I think this is the exception because of the freaking Apilas, which is obviously really, really good. And basically the thought process is, yes, they're gonna be less efficient, less, you get less men per point. But on the other hand, you have to consider, especially in forests or like close range engagements, you then already bring your infantry AT, and then you have a lot of them as well. So you don't have to mix in like a shock squad here or there or something to help against like medium tanks or heavy tanks even appearing in the forest. You already have that with your spam infantry. So instead of getting 4 squads of this plus a shock squad, you just get 5 squads of this, and you still have the same amount of men, right? That is essentially the thought process. And you still have like the 5-pointers are very good, right? Even the basic one and the upgraded one, 2 armor, 3 armor, 50 cal. Fast, the basic one, even amphibious, good 5-pointers. Keep in mind the Mark III gets a small availability penalty that you don't notice on all infantry. These already have lower availability for a line, so you don't notice on them on the worst availability of this squad. Versatoria flamethrowers, they're fine if you need them. You shouldn't really need them here because you have shock squads available in mech, if I'm not mistaken. I know you only get the Alpini. But usually they're used in mech or armored, because many decks don't have shock squads in mech or armored. So that is usually what you run in those decks if you need town fighting infantry. That said, you probably would prefer like a SMG or something for CQC fights in towns where they're best at. Lagunari, I can't recommend them. Essentially, they're your Fanteria di Linea, but you pay 5 points for 5 extra men. You don't get any speed. You still have the same trash bazooka. And that's it. You also get the LVTP7, which is okay, but you still get a good 5-pointer, so don't use that thing. They're just not worth using. Like 5 points for 5 HP on such a squad is not worth it. If it was 5 extra points for 5 HP on a squad like this, we would be talking about a different thing here. Or on like even the shock squad like these, right? 30 points for 50 men would be interesting, but on these guys, don't bother with those. Maro, your best. Let's do Maro and Paragato PST at the same time. Basically, they're the same thing, right? They're your 15-point shock squad. They have slightly different specs, right? This is Marines, this is Moto and Airborne. Maro are actually the best out of those, easily, right? You have an assault rifle, which is better than the Italian battle rifle. And you have to blend this side, which is a significant upgrade. Get good chunk accuracy, a good chunk AP. You still only one shot one armor, but at least you're gonna hurt something like 10 armor at least a bit. Even a bit more suppression. You still get a good transport, right? Sorry, here. If you're playing unspec and you want like a mod schützen type of squad, there it is. Personally, I would. It's tough. I might still prefer mod schützen because having the RPG-7 with the extra range is so nice. Mod schützen also get a BMP-1 or BMP-2, for example. That said, though, Maru have a much better 5-pointer. So, in unspec, probably better like town fighting shock spam squad, whatever you want to call it, than Alpini. They're cheaper, and they're also not useless against vehicles in close ranges. They're very good for that, right? They're the best blue variant of Mochitsun you could get, right? There's one more in the form of the Parabat, but yeah. And the Paragato Tisti, yeah, they're still good, but if you have the choice, go for Maru. Maru 90 and the Paragato Tisti 90. Now they're basically identical. Except that the Paragato Tisti 90 have a carbine. So they get a slightly higher rate of fire on the primary, which is neat. Other than that, same weaponry. And similar transports. The Paragato Tisti obviously get Fiat and helicopters. The Maro get the LVTP-7. Wow. Very good squad. They're basically like Ream 85. Ream 85 are already good. And these guys are also very good. They're not very special in terms of like flashiness. They're very strong. But like there's nothing special about them worth pointing out, right? You get what you see, right? Milan and Milan 2, obviously good. Not the best 80 gems out there, but they're solid. We went over these. Reservisti, your spam reserves, right? In mech, I usually, these days, I probably run these guys and the Fanteria at 90, and I just skip base Fanteria. Again, not like they're banned, but it's just a way to go. And Stinger, nothing special. Support. 075, Napalm MRS. Nothing too crazy about this. I think it has an aim time of 20 seconds. It does reload its salvo relatively fast, right? A lot of the time, salvo reload on like the, let's say, lower end MLRS systems can be very, very long. Like looking at the Grad, for example, like for 16 shots more. Sorry, double the shots, it reloads 3 times as long, right? So that helps. It is, of course, Napalm, keep that in mind. And Napalm MLRS, not considered to be that strong. This should be okay, I think. It's relatively cheap. Aim is relatively fast, has decent salvo length and reload. You get plenty of them. Have done with it. You can definitely make some napalm. Why is this? Oh yeah, probably like a protection, right? You can probably make some proper napalm areas. It's just you need more than one, right? So it's a bit costly. Puros 30 is basically like RM70. I think that is the closest comparison. You get the same salvo length and reload. Slightly faster aim time, which is neat. Very high rate of fire rate, 0.2 shot reload. Right, so those 20 rockets come out very fast. And then if you look at the actual missile stats, they're also identical. Basically, you sack some unit, except faster aim time, and you get 40 instead of 80 rounds total on that thing. That is really the main difference. N270, HE, it's good. Not much more that needs to be said. These days, you don't see them as much anymore because we've got a good chunk nerfed. Higher supply costs, higher base costs, right? But they're still very good. Basic Hawk, Hawk Pip 2. Hawk Pip 2 is probably your go-to, like, anti-plane focused unit. But support tabs can vary quite a bit in Italy. Sometimes you might just see automatic and the CDAM, right? Nothing else. Sometimes you see the Spada instead of the Hawk, It's good. It's a solid unit. Yeah. Mortars, 30 and 40 point are pretty basic. 50 point, it's worth pointing out. It is more accurate. It might have I always forget. M16A1. I always forget if it has like better aim time sets or something. Yeah, it does have a better aim time than your traditional 5 HP mortars. It actually does cost the same supply. I didn't know that. I could have sworn. What about? Hold on. So does the VPM, huh? Yeah, but the thing is, I like the VPM, which you don't see very often because it carries so little ammo and so expensive. To be fair, it's just 5 points more expensive. No, it also carries 54. What? Okay. Never mind. That said, yeah, it fires a bit fast, or aims a bit faster than your traditional 5 HP mortars. It has a slightly shorter salvo reload, and of course, it is more accurate. Where is dispersion? That is, yeah, 150 versus 200. It's a good chunk more accurate. Whether that's good or not is, depending on what you want it for. It's obviously very nice. All of those stats for actual fire supporting, or like using it offensively. For smoke, you might prefer it to be a bit less accurate, so it spreads a bit more. But it's a solid mortar. It's just a bit on the expensive side. So honestly, there's an argument to choose the other mortars. That thing here, yeah, I said it with the Danish variant essentially. There's one single niche scenario where these units are very good, and it's when you spread them in deep forests to defend against helicopters. Because it's just so many targets, so many quad brownings are just gonna stun those helicopters so fast, and they can kill like one at a time basically, and they can't outrange them because of deep forests. Yep. Sedam is very, very good. It used to be really busted in testing. It had like, I think, 50% accuracy with like 30 points at some point. That thing was disgusting. It is still very good, right? It's a really good rate of fire, 0.3, which is for 35 points quite good. It's actually just compatible to the BOW 3. I think they have the same range as well. Yeah, same range. Let's go to firepower. Same accuracy. The CDAM will fire indefinitely. Yeah. It's just a good unit. It's good, it's cheap, it's affordable. It's good for base defense, even good like somewhat offensively if you just want something that can reasonably defend against like rocket helicopters and you don't have to worry about radar micro. Good for that. Very good for that. Automatic, obviously, I think I don't need to explain why this is very good. It kills vehicles, it kills planes, it kills helicopters. It has 6 armor, so even just recently, what was it? Played against Blue Moto, I think it was. And the automatic just survived 1 HP because it got shot twice by something, I think, even. And it just survived because it's freaking 6 armor. Yeah. Obviously a must have, obviously a ridiculous unit. Fortunately, not as ridiculous as it once used to be. It has lower accuracy and lower HE than in the past, but still an incredible unit. We have 2 more 50 and 100 point M109s. 50.1 is decent for just keeping an area constantly fired at. 100.1 is usable, but there's no reason to really take it when you have good MLRS and the 50 point M109 and even like these two things, right? 90 point M110 is of course good. You see what you get in a 60 point variant of the M107. Yeah, I like this thing. Just spam it, like 7 of them, 9 HE shells is very fun. Again, also a unit that I went over a few times already. Butter Aspide is essentially a OSA AK/AKM kind of variant. It's right in between, right? If you compare this to the OSA, or in general, like the OSA line, it is 7 HE. It is wheeled, and it has 6 missiles, right? Very similar. It's the same range as the OSA AKM, and the same accuracy as the OSA AK. Right? The AKM has 55% accuracy, but the OSA AK has the same accuracy but lower range. Price-wise, it's right in between those as well. The OSA AK is 45 points, and the AKM is 65 points. I think, right? Yeah, it is. It's good. Its biggest downside is honestly the 5 HP. The OSAs have 10 HP, and they're also amphibious. And 5 HP means it dies a good chunk faster, especially against mortar fire or rocket bots or something like that, right? Where that extra HP might actually matter a good bit. That said, it's your only wheeled AA option. It's not horrible, but unless you're playing Moto or something, I wouldn't want to have to rely on this to protect my wheeled opener against helicopters. It can be quite inconsistent with only 50% accuracy. That is just something you have to keep in mind. That said, it's pretty good. It's also one of the few 7 HE missiles on blue 4, so it can one-shot planes on a crit. It's good. It's solid. I think it's not flashy, but it's very, very, very fine. Not a must-have. Some people use it over the Hawk. It's more affordable. It's more versatile. It's cheaper. You know. Tanks. Level 1 2. It's just a 30.10 RPM HE slinger, basically, right? Very basic. Then now we get to the Ariete already. Okay. It's basically an S tier V1-1, right? Like the Swedish Leopard 2. It has only 6 side armor. Keep that in mind. It does have 2 MGs though, with one of them being a Browning, which is neat. And that's really, yeah. It does nothing special. It's not crazy. It's fine. It's okay. It's a solid tank. You can't go toe to toe with super heavies, of course, right? With only 19 armor. But you also got 3 of them, which is okay. It's fine. And you got 2 cards like the S3-1-1, right? You're not going to be completely useless in tank fights, but you also shouldn't probably be like the main player when it comes to tank battles in your team. At least like super heavy battles. M47, just like the Yugoslav variant. Very good fire support. 4 armor, Browning, 3 HE, 8 RPM. Good speed and autonomy. Yeah. M60A1. Again, these are like the tanks where at this price range they don't really have a role. It's whatever, honestly. M60A1 ERA. It's kind of like Leopard 1v5, except you get more armor. If you're a stabilizer, you're slower, you have no medium optics. Not quite there yet in terms of like medium tanks. It's not the worst tank out there, but I think not having medium optics at this price range is, unless you're like a T80 where you have a certain role, like close quarter tank battles, that's really kind of like a killer, as in like it's gonna kill this unit because it can't spot shit. 040 is Leopard 1, essentially, right? The 040s are basically Leopard 1 for all intents and purposes. License, produce, whatever, but they're kind of the same unit. No stabilizer, but better AP and range, but no stabilizer. They got a Browning though, which is neat. Mark II, now we're talking. Kind of like the AS1 Plus, the ANSEC Leopard 1. Only 15 AP. I think the AS1 Plus is 16 if I'm not mistaken. But like good gun for the price. Good speed. Kind of class cannon-y. As honestly all the tanks are. Maybe not this one. This is okay armor for the price, but that's the exception. Then I got a Mark IIA, which for 10 points gets 2 extra AP. Medium optics. Good like accuracy and stabilizer. It's fine. It's just class Kennedy, but at least it has an identity and can do something well. It's not just awkward everywhere, right? It's okay. And the Mark III is still glass cannon. You get 13 armor, so you do survive a shot, a kinetic shot up front at least once, no matter how high the AP is. You also will survive a 20 AP, 26 AP heat missile. So a Bombar, Milan 3, or a single Maverick won't one-shot you, like a D Maverick or a B Maverick. It's fine. It's the only real higher medium tank, let's say, like the M84 2A1 kind of Wilk category type of tank. It's fine. Just like the Ariete, it's not gonna like. All one is. One is. Sorry, both are just. They're good, they're solid, but they're nothing to write home about, really. Recon. I mean, look, you have 2 A109s, right? You can take this, or for 5 points more, you get a double Browning and some FFARs, right? Obviously, you're gonna go for this. This is probably the prime recon helicopter in this tank. I mean, none of them are like special, right? It's okay. Realistically, it's between these two, right? Do you want the cheap option, or do you want like a slightly more expensive option, but you're faster, have 6 HP, and honestly, you're gonna win the double. Don't underestimate the double Browning, by the way. Unless you're fighting against a helicopter with a proper autocannon or something, you're gonna win a lot of the helicopter fights. Gazelles are gonna lose, the Hera is gonna lose, M8 MTVs are gonna lose, Lynx H7s kind of fire back, right? Don't underestimate this double Browning. And some FFARs can be neat to stun a few vehicles in like a column in the opener or something, right? It's not gonna kill anything, but it's gonna slow your opponent down a bit at least. You could use this, but it's just slow and clunky. Okay, these things exist. Bersaglieri, they're your shock recon. They're fine. They have the law, which is better than like the super bazooka at least. Yeah, they're fine. You got some. Where is it? You get a recon transport, of course, which is neat. They're gonna fight very well against infantry, not so much against vehicles, which is better on recon squads. But they're fine. The shock squads. Come Subin, we have Maglans at home, but don't all seriousness, they're still very good. I don't understand why some people. I mean, I understand in the sense that they're just bad. No, I mean, like, some people, for some reason, it might have died down, but in the past, people were like, oh my god, come Subin, they're so trash, make them 10 men. You didn't test them at 10 men. We tested them at 10 men. They were not fun, right? They were not fun at 10 men. At 5 men, maybe they're a tiny bit somewhat underperforming for the price. But at the end of the day, honestly, I don't think they are. They're wheeled Breda Folgore squads that are elite, so you can't just walk up with any infantry to dislodge them. Obviously, yes, they don't have the same range or impact as like a Magland squad, right? That's fine. Not everything has to be Magland here. That's very good. They're very good in the opener. You wheeled 18 AP, 400 meter range thing. You can unload them relatively early, and then they're gonna shut down an area of your opponent's wheeled opener, right? Don't underestimate that. Also, they're not prototyped, so you always have to be careful with squads that are not prototyped and are strong like that, right? You don't want a mixed blue running around with 10 HP variant of these guys. Trust me. And prototyping, unfortunately, was not an option either. Before, you say that. Yeah, I wish we could have just prototyped whatever we wanted to, but we couldn't. I would have loved to have prototyped the Centauro, for example. Esploratori. Yeah, they exist. They're bad. Don't use them, honestly. Now we got the good shit, man. All of these are great. Maybe not this. This is fine, right? It's basically a look same one. Late RH202, 2 front armor. Yeah, whatever. This thing here, very underrated unit. Although I can never fit it in. I'd love to fit it in, but I can't. It's cheap. It's 3 HE. Has stealth and optics. Wheeled, 2 armor. Kinetic. It's small. It's cheap, but it's very, very nice to have. This thing here is, of course, a beast. It is 50 points for only 2 armor and 1925 meters range. But of course, it does have the HVMS gun, which just fires at a ridiculous rate of fire. It's gonna double tap all kinds of light vehicles. It's gonna just annihilate an entire wheeled column. Just be aware it doesn't have a stabilizer. And you shouldn't try to go toe to toe with like proper recon tanks. Like, once you get to like the CDQ kind of price range. Although you will probably bully any kind of like T55 recon tank. But oh boy, does it have a damage output. It is kind of glass cannony, but it's good. And it's so satisfying to use as well. It is so fun. Imagine if this was only... Oh no, it already does have only good optics. Wow, I'm stupid. I was gonna say, imagine if it had only good optics and it was cheaper, but it already is as cheap as you could get. No, it's very, very good. Just be aware, no stabilizer, so you gotta be a bit careful. You can't just fast move down the road, right? The Recon Leopard 1 is good. It's better than the West German one because you got an MG. Might have slightly different like accuracy stats as well, but it's a good 30-point recon tank. Centauro Rico, very, very good. Recon variant of the Centauro. In Italy, honestly, I usually use the 60mm over the Centauro. The Centauro is probably easier to use. Arguably also just stronger and better, right? I'll be honest, for me, the jury is still out there. It's just they're a bit hard to compare, right? The Centauro is a lot more mobile, well, for one, because it's a bit faster, but also it has a stabilizer. You can stay at range a lot more, you can use while you're driving, right? But the Fiat is just so fun, man. It's just so fun. But the Centauro is, of course, very strong. Very good. And there's a reason why it's in, like, you see it in Blue Moto and such, right? Para Cecchini. Your sniper squad. They're very basic. 15 HP. no AT weaponry and also no like kinetic sniper, so be aware of that, right? Unlike the sniper teams that have only 2 weapons, they don't get the special kinetic sniper or AP sniper or whatever, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, they're only 25 kmh, not like the elite squads, but you know, it's a 2-man sniper team. You know, it's pretty basic what it does, right? Vehicle type is very good. Okay, basic recoilless rifle Jeep is whatever, but I love this thing. I've said this every time. Ito Jeeps might be my favorite like ATGM Jeeps because they're like a perfect sweet spot between affordability and impact, right? The Ito 2 Jeeps are very good, but then you're like 40, 45 points and you're rather expensive, right? So Ito is for one, like usually for what I want in this vehicle type, ideal. Second thing is it has 120 kmh off-road speed. It's the same Jeep chassis as the CV and the Yugoslav CV, so that's very, very fast. It's very, very good. This thing is so underrated. It means that you can get your toe out before the enemy tank is in range to shoot at you. You just zoom back, right? Very fun. This is kind of the C13 is kind of your apology for not having an IFV. It's a cheap HVMS carrier, right? Same autocannon as on the Fiat, but you're much cheaper. You have 2 front to side. You're still good, very fast, honestly. No medium optics, and unlike like autocannon IFVs, you obviously can't shoot at helicopters, right? So it only makes up to an extent, but it's still good. Still good. Chitauro, obviously, right? 16 AP wheeled, full range, very good accuracy, very good stabilizer, very good speed, medium optics, 3 armor even. Available in mech. It's very, very strong. It's very, very good. Unfortunately, not prototyped. Yeah. Then we go to the Fira 6 carriers. Now that was very, very fun. Originally, these used to have the same stats as Buff Rakatash had before the Italy patch, right? It was like 1400 meters. Nobody used them. Damage output was not really that great to make up for the fact that it had to stand still at 1400 meters range maximum to shoot at something, right? Nobody used them, the Buff Rakatash, and to the extent these guys as a result, because they were just clunky to use. It didn't have the impact. Then they got buffed to 450 meters range, right? Just outranging tank guns. Like long range, direct fire support, MNRS essentially, right? That's what they are, right? They're basically MNRSs, just direct fire. And I think they're very, very neat. They're not like ridiculously strong. They're relatively cheap to actually supply, by the way, right? We wanted to make sure of that because otherwise it would be just frustrating. Because they will run out of ammo very quickly, and they will shoot at everything, right? Whether it's going to be useful or not. It's just 5 per shot. So this thing here, just 240 supply, right? It's relatively cheap, but it needs to be cheap because again, it will shoot at everything, and even if there's no impact. But it's very fun to use. I love this unit a lot. I think we did a very good job. I actually mean we, because Eugen didn't come up with this. We came up with this. I know I'm tooting my own horn here, but I think we did a very good job at like with these stats, because I think it makes them relevant, fun, and like not ridiculously strong. I think so. Yeah, I like these units. Originally, though, the idea was actually to, which was shot down by Eugen. I think one idea was also to turn them into pseudo mortars, right? So you do that there would be MLRS that you could smoke with, but you would fire like 4 shot bursts, kind of like MLRS, like mortars, with like 8 seconds aim time, right? So they're again kind of like mortars in that regard. Would have also been interesting. And then we have these things here, right? Unfortunately, the Ito variant comes in a basic M113, unlike the VCC Tour, which comes in like a better armor thing, like in the Makino. What was it called again? Camilino. Okay. So only 1 armor, so it's not that great. Wish it had 2 armor, then would be much better. Then again, you just have this thing to use, which is so good anyway. Helicopters. This thing is bad. Like 4 HP is slow, only 14 rockets, and a minigun that is basically useless. A109AT is good. 6 HP, good speed, and 4 Itos. It's fine. It's like a good like IFB killer, like a Gazelle Hot, for example. Very similar thing. I like it. I think it's good. Mangusta. It's fine. It's basically a total carrier with medium optics and 8 HP and good speed, right? Other than that, like the 14 FFARs, they're not gonna do much. It has 1 armor, so it's gonna protect a bit against like small arms, but ultimately, unfortunately, without a gun, it's just a 2-2 carrier. And at that point, it's a bit expensive. So that's why I personally don't use it that much. I just use this thing, and if I need something against heavy tanks, I have to run my planes or other units. This thing is just a bit too expensive for my taste. We have the cock and ball torture. Very good anti-air heli. Like the good thing about this is similarly to the DAP or the Zephyr E, even if your opponent doesn't open with a helicopter, assuming you open with this, right? It still has uses after that, right? It's not gonna be like a dead investment. Like the C980, 190 for 90 points, you just get 8 anti-air missiles. And if your opponent doesn't open with a helicopter, it's gonna be tough for you to get actual use out of this. If your opponent doesn't do that, you still have the medium optics, so you can spot the opener. You still have a Vulcan, you still have Hydra, so you can do fire support, you can block a flank maybe. It still has uses, and that's what's so good about this. And it's somewhat affordable. Not the cheapest out there, but it's okay. And finally, Air. Aviate-B Harrier, basically like the American Harrier, right? You get 30 AP semi-active missiles. Does the American Harrier have 60 accuracy missiles? I actually forgot. Yeah. No, it's the same Mavericks. Yeah, it's E-Mavericks. The American also has a gun and better aim 9s, but it's fine. This is semi-active though, so a bit not so easy to use. Also not the fastest plane, so your opponent has more time to get in cover. Not the strongest anti-tank plane out there. Also, what is this? It's like some kind of sensor or like electronic countermeasure thing here. F-104G is kind of like a Blue 4 J7H kind of J7 kind of plane, right? It's cheap, fast, garbage anti-air missiles, still better than no anti-air missiles. Almost no ECM, but decent payload for the price, right? It's very suicide-y, but strong payload for the price. Also, you're only a real AT bomber in this deck, so you're better gonna use it. F-104S. Okay, all the F-104s, the F-104s have no guns, which is quite a downside, actually. F-104S is not so great, like, pretty bad missiles. 3 on veteran. If it was like 4 on elite, which might be a bit too good, but for the sake of the argument, 4 on elite, then it might be worth using. 3 on veteran, at least 3 on elite, but 3 on veteran is not that good. The SR1 is also 3 on veteran, right? And you get a much, much better set of missiles. Still, you don't see that often. Again, the lack of gun on like the lower tier, you go with the planes, right? The more important the gun becomes. Which doesn't mean that guns are useless on higher tiers, but it's still worth pointing out. And on these like 3 per card on high veterancy planes, you want a gun. You want a gun. Unless you have 2 missiles with 5 HE, both, right? Even then, you probably want it. And we have the ASA-2, which turns the Aspide 1A into a fire and forget missile. And it's not on elite, but also only 2 per card, right? So it's fine, but you also notice the gun and like its inconsistency as a result. Yeah, Ace F in this deck is always similarly to the support type. I think can be very different. Some people run this, some people run even both of these, right? The Tornado ADV is also a good option, right? We're gonna get to that in a second though. G91 is a bad napalm plane once more. G91, why? Why would you do this? Rather bad. MP339 is a not great rocket pod plane. Like only 60 seconds time with target is not very good. It's okay speed, no ECM though. Payload is fine. Ghibli is probably your prime anti-tank plane. 215 HE laser cutter bombs is like a Q5D or the Cheetah D2, right? Same payload. Decent ECM, decent speed, good speed even. And decent multi-role capabilities against helicopter cities, right? Probably a must-have in this deck, in my opinion. Probably, in my opinion. You get what I'm trying to say here, right? And this is usually what I run for anti-tank setup. The Tornado 800 is an okay class of plane. It is only 2 per card for its payload, but it's also 30% ECM, 1000 kmh, right? It's fine. It's not gonna kill like super heavies from full HP, but it's gonna do significant damage. And class of planes I just always need to have, honestly. It's good, but certainly no must take. No must have. Like in this tab, honestly, I think this is the closest thing to a must-have, and I guess a seed if you want to run seed, right? This is the only two planes that are close to a must-have, in my opinion. Harry, you don't need to use this. You don't need to use. You have various ASF options that are all fine, right? Although you probably want at least either one of these. I don't think you should just run the ASF one. Although I guess maybe you could run 2 cards of them. I don't know. Yeah, obviously, see, it's literally the ECR, but you have for 10 points less, you don't have aim 9s. That's all it is. And it's fine, right? ECR is a good solid seed plane, and so is this. Would you rather have the aim 9 elves for 10 points? Probably. But it's also not a huge deal. Like, either way, really. It's the 10 points is not a huge deal for a plane you buy once. And not having the aim 9s is also not a huge deal, because you tend to not use them a lot either. The Tornado ADV is fine. It's good. 2 on veteran. It is literally between the. So this is interesting. It's basically between these two, right? It has the ECM and such, right, of the Tornado F2, but the missile sets, the missiles of. Oh, sorry, wrong plane. The missiles of the Tornado F3. In fact, it's a Tornado F3 with 10% ECM, basically. But not the still on veteran and not on elite, unfortunately. It's fine. Just like the tornadoes. It's fine. It's solid. It has a gun, has more missiles. A bit more range on the long range or medium range missile. Yeah. Fine. Again, various ways you can do your ASF setup. Again, even this might be funny. Like if you wanna be able to like just overrun your opponent, sometimes numbers are more important than quality. It's a way to go. Could be a way to go. It's not like these are bad missiles either, right? Either way, that's Italy. Let me know what you think, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Arrivederci.